Cool Fish tells the story of one young woman's attempt to win a prize at the ice carving festival. No, it doesn't. Hi, welcome to the Silver Spleen. My name is Jimmy Houston, and this is my review of A Cool Fish. Two morons try to rob a bank. A security guard tries to find redemption. A young man tries to defend his father's dignity. These three stories, and a few related subplots, make up the narrative backbone of A Cool Fish. Writer-director
饶小智
follow-up to 2016's The Insanity, which I haven't seen, but after watching A Cool Fish, I think I'd like to. Some movies tell great stories, and some movies tell stories with great style. A Cool Fish is the second kind of movie. The story, mostly, ends up taking a backseat to the telling. None of these subplots hold up very well, either on their own or especially together, but they're all told with enough style and wit that I didn't really care. The film was a lot of fun to watch, and it was very entertaining, and it surprised me in ways that I didn't expect. It's quirky. It's an odd film, from the characters to the events that happen to the ending. It's a strange film at times, but it's a very familiar strangeness. It's got a very, alternative, independent movie sort of spirit. And luckily for all of us, it carries off this strangeness in a very entertaining and very watchable way. It's really not easy to carry off a movie whose execution is so engaging that you don't even mind that the story is, in some places, in some ways, kind of thin. The narratives aren't really all that new, but the acting, the dialogue, the cinematography, and the direction make it well worth the time you spend watching. A Cool Fish also gets really serious a couple of times and makes you realize what a good film it is.
任素汐
Plays a woman with very significant physical disabilities and a personality that would make King Kong go home. Her entire performance is really impressive, but in one scene especially, she delivers the kind of performance and acting that awards are intended for.
陈建斌
Who plays the security guard, is no slouch either. He balances comedy and drama really well, though I admit that my appreciation of his performance may have something to do with the two of us being roughly the same age.
张宇
Who you may recognize from Dying to Survive, is really engaging and fun to watch as an aspiring gangster, and so is his sidekick, played by
潘斌龙
The whole cast are really watchable, and their chemistry together is a high point of the film. Like I said, the story really isn't anything very complex or innovative, but I think that in some ways it makes it easier for the non-native audience to appreciate it. There's obviously some regional or language things that some people are going to get and people like me aren't, but the story is certainly easily understood if you're just, reading the subtitles, like me. The ending of the film might seem a little abrupt, or even an unexpected and surprising cop-out. But if I may borrow that term and make a pun out of it, it's not really unexpected when you remember where the movie's made. For better or worse, there are rules about movies in China. You can either follow these rules or you can not get to release your movie. So I think in some ways it would be unfair to blame the filmmakers for the way the movie ends. They didn't really have much of a choice, and if they didn't do it that way, we'd have never seen everything that comes before the end of the movie, and and if I'm honest, that ending still kind of works, even though it's a pretty stark contrast to the rest of the film. Movies like A Cool Fish make me realize just how much potential there is in the Chinese film industry, and it makes me glad that every now and again a movie like this gets released. As far as I know, China doesn't have a rating system, and they have a lot of guidelines about movie content. And as a consequence, when I see a movie like this, it actually makes me really appreciate the ability of the filmmakers to create something that's still innovative and interesting and kind of special within what are a fairly tight set of rules. So I really enjoyed the film on that level. I enjoyed the way these people are fun to watch, but they're not really cinematic. They're almost embarrassingly real. Like you feel bad for them at times because they're just very human, but that to me was a great thing about it. So in that sense, the acting and the characters and, and their chemistry and stuff redeem any of the plot contrivances or, the ending. The other thing that impressed me about this film was it was made for less than $5 million US, and considering the end result, I think it was a pretty good accomplishment. I mean, the film looks really nice, there's interesting use of color. It's really the kind of film that's very pleasantly surprising, and let's face it, I don't get a lot of those. I enjoyed this film even though I kind of expected to. I admit that I enjoyed it in ways that were unexpected to me, mostly because inside of this kind of funny, intentionally weird movie, there's a couple of really great performances and a couple of scenes that really got to me in ways I didn't expect. So I can definitely recommend that you watch A Cool Fish. It's not in cinemas anymore, but I'm sure it's available online streaming, not for download. Or you could probably find a DVD or a Blu-ray, which I actually would recommend because this movie looks really nice. So if you want to watch the movie, do the filmmakers the favor of giving them some money for their effort, because let's face it, that's how it works. The world costs money, and I'm sure most of you have already figured that out because you're either in school to get a job or you finished school and you've gotten a job, and you spend a lot of time doing stuff you don't want to do so that you can have money to do the things you want to do. And I'm not saying I don't enjoy making these videos, I do, but I have to admit that it is work, and really the only way that I could get paid for it is if people like you gave me money. And I'm not asking for it, I'm just pointing out what I feel is a fairly obvious, logical premise. If you enjoyed this review, please let me know. If you didn't, let me know. If you enjoy the channel, please subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again soon.